Hey everyone, and welcome to this FreightWaves special report. I'm here with John Paul Hamstead, and we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been seeing with the AB5 or Assembly Bill 5 ruling in California right now. We just got an update that they're going to delay this enforcement until January 13th. So, John Paul, tell us a little bit about the background and backstory of AB5.
Sure. So the bill was passed in September of 2019 in the California legislature, and it was intended to force companies to reclassify their independent contractors as employees if they failed what's called the ABC test, which has to do with the extent to which contractors are directed by their employers, the extent to which the work that they undertake is central to the business of the employer, and to what extent they are responsible for things like their own tools, whether they appear in uniform, whether they set their own schedules and things like that.
Right, so the bottom line is essentially whether or not owner-operators, at least in terms of the trucking industry, whether or not owner-operators can set their own schedules, own their own equipment, et cetera, have their own time. Right. Now, not everybody is totally in line with this ruling. There's a lot of people that are very against it, especially a lot of the owner-operators.
So when the law was passed, it was kind of perceived as like an anti-Uber, anti-Lyft bill. And of course, Uber and Postmates did file a lawsuit against AB5, saying that it was unconstitutional. But the most recent emergency stay of the bill that was granted just in the past couple of days by the federal judge said that that was actually in response to a lawsuit by the California Trucking Association.
Right.
And so a lot of these owner-operators, like you said, like to set their own schedule. They're not necessarily working under forced dispatch. They own their own equipment. They run their own routes and haul for multiple carriers.
Yeah, and a lot of the carriers have already made adjustments. I know Prime, for instance, has reported that they offered relocation packages to numerous drivers just to move out of the state of California, so they didn't have to be under this ruling. So, a lot of this has already taken place. So what do you think 2 weeks, delay, is this really going to do that much, or are we really at the beginning?
I think we're at the beginning of probably further delays. So on January 13th, there's a hearing scheduled where the California Trucking Association will present its case. Presumably the state government will be there defending the law. But, honestly, I kind of see this thing going to the Supreme Court, and sort of hard enforcement of it for at least for specific industries like truck drivers should be delayed and kind of kick the can down the road until we get some kind of a resolution at a federal level. Now, there are other industries that have also been affected. For example, like journalism and media. A lot of writers are independent contractors.
But a lot of those had exemptions, correct?
No, they've lost their jobs.
Oh, wow.
Like there have been hundreds of layoffs just in media over the past few months.
Yeah, and the reason for this too is because it's expensive for companies to hire on permanent workers instead of the contract labor, because you have to support them with insurance costs, so that adds an extra 25 to 30% for every employee you hire on, as well as, especially in trucking, they own their own equipment, so now the company has to provide the truck.
Well, and if you think about you might not have enough work to actually keep that person fully employed to either do the ride as much as they want to, run as many miles as they want to, et cetera. So it's in some ways it's less flexibility, and I think it's a bad law. I don't think that ultimately Justice Roberts is going to allow California to rewrite employment law for the entire country. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so we're not really anticipating this to gain full traction throughout the rest of the year.
Right, and Uber and Lyft both said that they would refuse to reclassify their employees, and they were just basically saying sue us.
Right.
So
no traction in the federal Supreme Court. It's probably going to keep this thing bouncing around for another several months. Carriers in the meantime need to continue operations as maybe they should.
Yeah,
or a lot of them have already made a lot of adjustments. So
I know, and that was kind of the question we had about the CTA strategy, sort of legal strategy with this. Is after companies don't want to take the risk of being sued. There's already, labor relations in California and transportation are already pretty contentious. So it's like they kind of had to do something.
Yeah.
And it seems like this lawsuit's coming a little late, but yeah.
Well, here we are. Well, stay tuned to more updates from FreightWaves concerning this and any other special report that happens over the next few months. Thank you.